Hey, it's John and Kayla here to give you our 1 year later, 20-ish thousand miles review of the 2024 Entegra Ethos. And we're gonna go over things we like about the van, what we don't like about the van, things we've done to it, and things we wanna do to it. So I guess we'll start with the first thing that we did to this thing, and we gave her a name, and we named it Caroline after Kayla's grandmother. Up top on the roof, you'll be able to see some Max Tracks. Luckily, we haven't had to use them yet. And what they are is if you get stuck in some kind of unfortunate incident in the sand or mud or something, you could put those below your wheels or in front of your wheels and hopefully get enough traction to get unstuck. And one of the most recent things that we've done to this thing, and by far probably one of the best upgrades that we've put on this, is we've installed sumo springs. So they're bump stop replacements on their rear suspension. They do make a front suspension, which we haven't done yet. I don't know if we're going to, but essentially what they do is they mitigate all that body roll, and it enhances the crosswind protection, absorbs bumps much better. Doesn't like stiffen the suspension up or anything, so it's not like super rigid. It's perfectly balanced between nice, soft over the bumps and absorption. So what I mean by the crosswind protection is if we're going down on an interstate and we're in like an open clearing or something and we get a gust of wind, sometimes being the box that it is, it pretty much almost pushes us into an entirely different lane. And by doing so, it triggers the stabilization protection and then shuts the cruise off. So we'd have to like get back up to speed, put the cruise back on just for it to happen again. But after installing the sumo springs, haven't run into that issue at all. And by the way, all the products that we're listing that we've done and that we're going to do, I'll leave links in the description to everything that we're talking about. So one thing that we had to replace is the sewer storage right down here. So the one that it came with actually really only came up to this support right there. So that was not big enough to fit our sewer hose. So we did get an aftermarket one. This one actually extends, but as you can see, we drilled a little hole, put a screw and nut in there so it doesn't slide. This being the part that actually extends. So there's a plate right here, obviously won't extend that way, and won't extend that way because of the screw. So our 10-foot hose fits perfectly in there now. All right, so we've had a lot of trial and error with this next part, and we've had a lot of experiments and failures, and we finally, we think, came up with a solution. So if you remember from the complete tour video of the van, the cabinet in the back, beautiful woodwork, beautiful finish. We didn't want to do anything permanent to it. We didn't want to screw into it. We were essentially just trying to preserve the fit and finish of the cabinetry. So what I'm getting at is where we hang our hoses. We've got two of them, one for city water, one for black tank flush, and our power cable. So first we tried to hang them by command hooks. That did not last more than one outing. The next thing Kayla found were some suction cups that we could stick to the finish, and that lasted a good, probably more than half of the season. And the suction hooks had like a little carabiner that we could like hook a little rapid up to the hoses and the power cord. And they were, like I said, they worked for like more than half a season. But eventually with the changing temperatures, they stopped working. So we settled on what we wanted to do and not do at the same time is a permanent solution. So no longer do we have command hooks, no longer do we have those suction cups, but we did put these like little D-rings. All right, these are a little bit more permanent. All right, so this is what we're looking like in the back. And while we got the back door open, we saw this in a little Facebook group. So when this is shut, as you could imagine, the space between this cabinet and the door is like this. And with the hoses, makes it even that more difficult to try to open it from the back, put the shades on. That's the whole point of opening these in the back. No more. We just grab this thing from inside and fine now. And again, while we have the back door open here, so if you're like an avid follower of our van adventures and everything, you'll know how we used to organize our clothes in this cabinetry. We got like a little hanger, and that's another thing that we wanted to change. That's another thing that we put off and put off and put off on a permanent solution. And like the reason why we wanted to like find a solution for that hanging closet organizer is because it was really only enough for Kayla and I to take like a weekend trip. But some of you know we take long week trips, we take 2-3 week trips across the country, and definitely not big enough for the both of us to live off of 3 weeks. So the permanent solution, this is another solution that we have to find, but we'll get there eventually. The permanent solution that we found for the cabinet is, drum roll, we built permanent shelves. They're in there for good. When we bought the wood, it was just white wood, but obviously it looks much better with that paper on there that you'll actually see more of later in the video. And I mean, just for travel's sake, we got this actual like contact paper, so nothing like slides around. So we buckled and obviously did some permanent solutions that we wanted to do in the first place, but we're putting it off because how beautiful this looks. All right, and that's everything that we've done that I can show you on the outside. So let's go on the inside and Kayla can show you things we've done in there.
So we've really only done a few things here in the front of the cab. The main one you can see here on both sides, we added these visors that actually extend out. So you can flip them over here while you're driving or passenger. Block out the sun, because everybody knows the sun always goes where you can't cover. They just slide right on. As you can see, this one came off on me. We also added little mirrors, because they didn't have mirrors. So we have them both on both sides here. And then John actually brought this from his Jeep. You can just rest your head nice and easily here. And our last thing up front, it's gonna be kind of a goofy one, but we had a chapstick holder for me. Since I use chapstick all the time, our friend 3D printed it for us. So this is another little chapstick holder. We got a smaller one, just a cute little magnet one that we got. So we went just local, got some silverware holders. Here's these little drawer liners again. And then, as John mentioned, our initial use for the contact paper was the fridge. So we took, it was all black prior to, but makes it just look really nice. Pops, matches with the countertop, the wood and everything. But we switched the hinges on the fridge so it opens this way rather than prior to it opened this way. Not too hard, pretty easy. You just take out all your bolts and everything and just switch it around. But the downfall, as you can see from the contact paper, if you're not careful like me, the door, when the bed's fully open, the support portion cuts into the side of the door, this part. And I tried to buy like baby bumpers, like for furniture, but when the bed's in, like this, they don't fit. So still brainstorming with how to make that not happen. And again, with this going into it when the bed's out, that's why the dealer makes it so it opens this way. All right, so continuing on, we actually bought this cheap little disc drawing mat because as you're driving down the road, this thing clanks a little, so this works like a dream. Went to your local Dollar General because everybody has some within a mile of your house. Grab this little clock so we can always see when we're in bed. We've actually put some glue dots underneath, which this is our little drawer, odds and ends, but we bought a little box of glue dots to put on anything on the counter. These work great. As you can see, we got the clock, bottle of soap. And then we also, this is our second one, but we've also added a paper towel holder down here. It's got a little thing, it can slide out, easy on and off. The last one we had, you just slid it on. However, we were driving down the road and it would just bounce off. So we bought this one that locks into place now. And then when you're going to sleep, we have all the blackout shades, but my parents actually gave us this from their travel trailer. You just pop it into the little thing, makes it so you don't get woke up from the morning light coming through. And then John's probably favorite thing that we've done so far, we got a new cover for the AC. So before it only had these end vents. Now we have two middle ones. So when you come in from a hike, you can blow them right on you when you sit on the couch. And then you can even shut off the ends so it only comes out here. Works great. John loves dogs, so we had to get this fun little key holder. A little dog butt. But there's these little screws on the side of the electronic thing. John just took that off, made it so it can slide right in there. You got your key holder for the night. Continuing back, this is the little electronics one where you like your cable and your Wi-Fi can hook up, but we also added just a little DVD player here with all our old school DVDs. We like to watch stuff when we fall asleep, so you just plug it right into the HDMI port and watch some TV. The other really cool thing that we added, we got these on Amazon, so John will put the link below. These are our little organizers for when we go to bed. So glasses, case, cell phone, and it came with the drawer liner so stuff doesn't slide around. But the nice thing with having the outlets, we put it right next to our outlet. And there's a cord thing in the back so you can feed your cord right out the back and just plug it all right in. So then for our internal storage, it's here under the passenger side bed. So we bought some struts. Doesn't hold it up very well, so we're gonna have to get some stronger ones, but this is where we have our ladder, our leveling blocks, some tools, just extra storage. Oh, now it stays. We started out, we actually had a bungee cord and we had it going to this eyelet we put in here, but it ended up being too much getting it to there. So we ended up going with these struts and apparently it wants to stay up now. But it makes it much easier when you're trying to pull something out, because before you just had to hold it up yourself. They didn't come with anything to keep this open. Our other random IKEA find, this little traveler sign, and then we added a command hook here because John likes to drink water in the middle of the night. Holds his water bottle for him. Hasn't dropped on his head yet. All right, so those are the things that we've already done to the van. Now let's get into the things that we're still wanting to do in the near future. So one of the main things we want to replace is the stock sliding screen door that we got. We're hoping to replace it with the bug wall screen. It's going to be a roll down screen and then zippers down the side. It's a little expensive, so we haven't got it yet, but John will get into it with you later why we want to replace the current sliding screen. And then another big thing we want to look for, something else that works better, is these cup holders down here. They're just so low to the ground when you're sitting, especially when you're driving. It's hard to reach down if something's in the middle. It's hard with this charger here. It's the wireless charging pad. Just, you have to like maneuver your things in there just so to get it in and out. So it's just hard to access. You have the ones in the door, but again, over here, it's just hard to access. And then one of the last things we're looking to get inside done is get a new digital rear view mirror that can integrate with your dash cam. So that's gonna wrap it up for the things we wanna do to the van on the inside. Let's take it back outside to John and he'll show you the outside things we're hoping to do.
All right, so one thing kind of near and dear to me is I like to go boondocking in the middle of nowhere, and one thing that would help significantly with that is increasing the overall ground clearance of the van. So I'd like to install a lift kit to do such a thing. And then once we do inevitably lift the van, get rid of these all-season or summer or whatever tires that are on there, get some good all-terrain tires, or at least trail terrain tires, and a spare, because the van didn't come with a spare. Kind of annoying, but is what it is. Buy a spare and get something a little bit more grippy for those trails. And because the van didn't come with a spare tire, it didn't come with a spare tire mount, so I have to get one of those too. So a big thing about ground clearance on the van is because, I mean, for obvious reasons, but for not so obvious reasons, is the generator that's built onto the van below the chassis. We're only like 4 inches from the ground, so we need all the extra ground clearance that we can get specifically for the generator alone. Now the Sumo springs that we talked about earlier that we installed, it added maybe like 3/4 of an inch to the ground clearance in the rear. Helps out a little, but you're still not clearing curbs or anything if you're trying to back up to it. But another thing that we want to get to help out with that generator not scraping or hitting rocks or anything like that when we are on the trails is I want to get a Juggernaut skid plate for it. Again, kind of expensive, but in the long run, worth it. Overall, protect the integrity of the generator. All right, and the last couple things that I want to do, and at least the relatively near future, the headlights and the high beams, they're not bad. They're really not. But LEDs would certainly serve us a whole lot better. And you're probably going to start to notice a theme, but I want to get a light bar for the top to help us out with that pitch black boondocking and overlanding situations that sometimes we do find ourselves in, despite not wanting to drive after dark. And that's really, at least for now, all the things that we can kind of think of that we want to do that we haven't already done to Caroline. So now let's get into things that we don't like about the van.